The United States Senate became a much saner place today, and the Heritage Foundation became a slightly more disreputable place when the junior senator from South Carolina, Republican Jim DeMint, after serving only 1 1/3 terms as a United States Senator, announced that he was quitting the Senate to run the Heritage Foundation.
The idea of going to the Heritage Foundation, which is the premier conservative think tank in our country, and leveraging their assets to communicate to all Americans that we can make their lives better, this is a dream job for me, and it's critically important. I don't think Republicans will win another national election unless conservatives first convince Americans that our principles work. I think I'm in a more powerful position than a single United States Senator.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be in that incredibly powerful position currently held by, okay, well, the current head of the Heritage Foundation, I'm sure it's a very powerful position, so I must, like everyone in America that doesn't work at the Heritage Foundation, I have no idea who the current head of the Heritage Foundation is, but I do know that there has never been a member of the United States Senate who is less powerful than the head of the Heritage Foundation. So Washington spent the day trying to find out what's behind the lie Jim DeMint just told about leaving the Senate for the more powerful job of running the Heritage Foundation. The Washington Post reports that according to Senate financial disclosure forms, Jim DeMint's estimated wealth in 2010 was $40,501. Senator DeMint's salary is $174,000. The compensation package for the head of the Heritage Foundation in 2010 was more than $1 million, according to the Washington Post. There are 8 Democrats in the Senate, including Harry Reid, who owe their seats largely to the political madness of Jim DeMint, whose super PAC supported bat-crap-crazy Republican Tea Party candidates for the Republican nomination in Senate campaigns that they could not possibly have won. The case can be made that no senator did more to keep the Democrats in the majority in the Senate than Republican Jim DeMint. The Koch brothers, who financed the Heritage Foundation and Republican campaigns, may have decided that they needed DeMint safely tucked away out of politics if they're going to have any chance of getting a good return on the money that they continue to invest in Republican campaigns. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley will now appoint DeMint's successor, who will serve until 2014 when the state will hold an election for that Senate seat. Joining me now, MSNBC's Karen Finney and John Heilman. Karen, are the Democrats going to miss Jim DeMint?
Oh, I don't think so. Somehow I think Jim DeMint will find a way to still be a thorn in everybody's side.
John Heilman, who are the front runners now for Nikki Haley to appoint to that seat?
Well, Lawrence, I don't think you're going to be one of the front runners, especially displaying that cynicism that you've had on display tonight.
I don't really have a strong connection to the state, so I don't think I'm on the list. I'm no Stephen Colbert, who does have a strong connection to that state.
Yeah, so I want to put my vote in for Stephen right now. But look, the 2 top front-runners who are not Nikki Haley, and we'll come back to her in a minute, but the 2 top front-runners are Tim Scott and Mark Mulvaney, who are both freshman Republicans close to the Tea Party. And I think Tim Scott would be, by most political calculations, the real front-runner there. He's African-American, and he would become the only African-American senator if he were appointed to that job. For a party that has problems with the coalition of the ascendant, and a lot of people think that they need to look a little more like the rest of America or the minority portions of America, that would be a smart move. It's also possible that if Nikki Haley doesn't want to do either one of those 2, she could always appoint herself. And I wouldn't put it past her. It's been done before. And she's much more popular as a national Republican than she is in her own state. So there's some chance that she'll go that direction.
And Karen Finney, if Nikki Haley does appoint herself, she then has 2 years to run for the seat and actually get to claim it in a real way. It seems that she would probably, if you were having to bet on this, be a stronger statewide candidate than the others.
Yeah, she probably would be, although I think, Congressman Scott is an intriguing one, and I think particularly what John was saying, given the position the Republican Party is in right now, that's going to be a hard one for them to pass up. Although I did read today that the former governor of the state of South Carolina is interested in running. Perhaps he thinks that's how he's going to make his political comeback.
Stephen Colbert, a son of South Carolina, issued this statement today. Stephen is honored by the groundswell of support from the Palmetto State and looks forward to Governor Haley's call. John, shouldn't Governor Haley at least give Stephen a call? I mean, just have a little fun with this?
I'm telling you, Lawrence, I think that not only should she give him a call, but she should give him serious consideration. God knows the U.S. Senate could use Stephen Colbert, more even than Comedy Central can. Karen Finney just mentioned Governor Sanford, who I do not think will be appointed to this job, but there is actually some talk in South Carolina, I am told, that it's possible that Jenny Sanford, his ex-wife, who's very popular in the state and who became a bit of a figure, not just in the state, but nationally after her husband's extramarital affair and the scandal that ensued, that she could actually be someone who would be considered. I think she's a very far outside chance, but it would be a kind of a witty thing for Nikki Haley to pick Jenny Sanford. Again, as I say, popular and a woman, obviously, and someone very popular in the state of South Carolina, probably more popular now than she was when she was married to Mark Sanford.
And back to the strange Mr. DeMint. The Washington Post conservative columnist Jennifer Rubin wrote today, good riddance, Mr. DeMint. In a column, she said, I am sure many senators on both sides are clicking their heels. DeMint has been a destructive force, threatening to primary colleagues, resisting all deals, and offering very little in the way of attainable legislation. He has contributed more than any current senator to the dysfunction of that body. Karen, it just seems to me that the Republicans have to be happier to see him go than the Democrats are.
They probably are, although, again, somehow I just don't think that Jim DeMint is going to go off quietly in the night. I think he's going to try to use this position at Heritage. He can still try to, anoint candidates. That'll be super fun. And, compete with Grover Norquist and Karl Rove for, who's the unelected leader of the Republican Party, kind of give the Republicans a little bit of trouble here and there and give Democrats kind of another fun target to, poke at.
John, somewhere in the notes here, there is the name of the guy who currently runs the Heritage Foundation. But come on, this is a Glenn Beck move. This is Glenn Beck giving up Fox TV for whatever he does now, and no one has any idea what he does. That's what this is.
Well, yes, Lawrence, you put your finger on it before. I was going to say there are three good reasons for Jim DeMint to move. One of them you mentioned already, and that's money, $1 million a year. There are two other really good reasons, car and driver, which is also part of the compensation package at the Heritage Foundation. And I know the value of a car and driver. And that senators do not get a car and driver. That is not in the budget for them. Karen Finney and John Heilemann, thank you both for joining me.
Thanks.
Coming up, the political future for the First Lady, Michelle Obama. A majority of Illinois voters say they would vote for her for Senate. And in the rewrite, Mitch McConnell shows again today why Michelle Obama just might not want to work in the United States Senate. And later, an exclusive interview with Star Trek's George Takei. He'll tell us why the wealthy should be eager to save us from going off the fiscal cliff.